Who was Charlie Kirk? What did he represent? And why was he at the same time both fiercely defended and harshly criticized by so many people? Charlie Kirk was a political activist who rose to prominence in the United States at a young age. He became widely known as the founder and public face of Turning Point USA, a conservative youth organization. This organization focused especially on university campuses, aiming to promote conservative ideas and create a counterbalance to what it viewed as a predominantly left-leaning academic culture. Kirk's rise was rapid. He used social media effectively, spoke directly to younger audiences, and in a short time became a nationally recognized figure. But this rapid rise also brought intense backlash. To his supporters, Charlie Kirk was someone who defended free speech on college campuses, who encouraged young people to engage in politics, and who gave a voice to conservative communities that felt ignored by mainstream media. For them, Kirk was outspoken, challenging the system and unapologetically bold. This support transformed him from just an activist into a symbolic figure. But Charlie Kirk was also at the center of heavy criticism. According to his critics, some of his statements contained inaccurate or incomplete information, scientific and historical topics were oversimplified into ideological messages, his language deepened social polarization, and his provocative rhetoric deliberately fueled tension. Especially academics and journalists argued that Kirk prioritized controversy over the production of reliable knowledge. So there were two very different perceptions of Charlie Kirk. For some, a defender of freedom. For others, a misleading and divisive figure. And that is precisely why Charlie Kirk was such a sensitive name. Because he stood at the very center of America's left-right polarization, its culture wars, and the ideological conflicts rooted in universities. When figures like this are involved, people are not just defending a person, they are defending their worldview. And history shows us something important. Events surrounding highly polarizing figures almost always produce narratives that go beyond reality. That's why the claims that emerged about Charlie Kirk were not only about what happened, they grew out of fear, distrust, political tension, and the dynamics of social media, all combined together. And immediately after the incident, a very familiar process began. Unverified information was shared thousands of times within the first hours. Some people spoke with certainty from the very beginning, and then the sentence that starts almost every conspiracy theory appeared. This can't be a coincidence. That sentence is powerful because it offers no evidence but creates implication. Kirk's political stance, his enemies, the threats he had received, they were all recalled. And then this idea was planted. This is part of a bigger plan. Before any evidence existed, the narrative was already formed. Here, social media is not just a tool, it is the story itself. Algorithms amplify content that is angry, shocking, and fear-inducing. Calmer, more cautious explanations remain less visible. As a result, truth moves slowly, but theory moves fast. And people like Charlie Kirk, figures everyone already has an opinion about, are perfect targets for conspiracy theories. For those who support him, he becomes a silenced voice. For those who oppose him, the event feels inevitable. So the incident gains meaning according to each person's perspective. This is exactly where conspiracy theories grow stronger. Not facts, but emotions take the lead. Psychologists point to a critical moment. When someone says, "I knew this would happen," questioning stops. Most theories surrounding Charlie Kirk simply reinforced beliefs people already held. And at that point, misinformation, disinformation, and deliberate manipulation become impossible to separate. What we actually need to distinguish is this. We are not discussing what happened. We are discussing what people want to believe. Because after major events, three things usually happen at the same time. Official information is limited, people are emotional, and social media demands speed, not accuracy. When these three combine, a vacuum of information emerges, and that vacuum is filled not with facts but with speculation. That is exactly what happened in the early posts about Charlie Kirk. Some accounts said, the truth is being covered up. Others claimed, the real reason is being hidden. And then certain theories began to spread. One of the most common was, this was a political silencing operation. This theory appealed simultaneously to fear, anger, and a sense of injustice. For its supporters, it confirmed a belief they already held. If we speak out, this is what happens to us. When a theory confirms what someone already believes, the need for evidence decreases. Another narrative was, the real perpetrator is being hidden. These theories don't present concrete claims, they produce constant suspicion. And interestingly, the human mind prefers even a wrong explanation over living with uncertainty. That's why the idea of a hidden truth is always powerful. Another narrative claimed, this is part of a much larger plan. At that point, the story expands. It's no longer just about Charlie Kirk. Elections, global powers, media, technology companies, everything is tied into one grand narrative. These theories love complexity because complex stories feel deeper. But often what exists is not depth, but excessive connection. There are common reasons these theories feel convincing. They create a simple good versus evil divide. They leave no room for coincidence, and they give people the feeling of possessing secret knowledge. I know the truth is an extremely seductive feeling. On social media, these theories evolve over time. Early posts are short and emotional. Then come screenshots, edited videos, sentences taken out of context. If there's a visual, the persuasive power increases. But most of the time, context is missing, timelines are confused, and cause and effect relationships are reversed. At this point, we should stop and ask, do these theories really explain Charlie Kirk, or do they explain our fears? Because every conspiracy theory leans not on an event, but on an emotion. And this brings us to the final point. Conspiracy theories are sometimes dangerous not because they hide the truth, but because they delay our confrontation with it. The idea of randomness is unsettling. Chaos makes us uncomfortable. Conspiracy theories tell us, don't worry, someone is in control. But they also imply something else. You can't change anything. And at that point, conspiracy theories become not just misinformation, but a source of passivity. The real danger is not that a theory is wrong. The real danger is that it never needs to be verified. If a narrative explains every possibility, answers every objection, and is always right, then truth is no longer being sought. What exists is belief. In this program, we didn't tell you what to believe. But if we manage to make you ask this, that's enough. What does this narrative make me feel? Does it invite me to think, or just make me angry? Does it provide information, or force me to pick a side? Because conspiracy theories only grow stronger when they are not questioned. And perhaps the greatest conspiracy of all is the one that makes us forget how to think. If you subscribe to our channel, that would be amazing, because it helps us create better content. You are watching Ömer Yıldız's channel,